boys, I'm back with the History is Fun channel. Okay. Now today's topic is kind of a weird one because to understand this topic, yep. To understand this topic, we need to understand a kind of a trend going on in Europe. And the name of the trend is conservationist versus the liberals. So who are these two? What they want? Well, the conservationists, they want the old monarchy to stay. They want the nobility to have all the rights. They want the king to stay in power. They want religious ethics to stay. And who are involved in the who are the conservationists? Well, mainly the religious people, priests, as of course emperors and landlords, because they get all the rights. Now the other side we have liberals, and also there are rural areas. The people of rural areas actually root for the conservationists because they actually have a huge part. Now, liberals. Liberals believe in human rights. They believe every human has a right and continued reform should happen in a constitutional order. Now, why rural people areas don't like liberals? Liberals usually consist of urban area people, people of the urban areas, businessmen, and etc. They don't like him because it's against the tradition. Because what are the liberals saying? They're saying that we don't want to dethrone the monarchy. We don't want to dethrone the old monarchy. We just want human rights. We need his power to be suppressed. And overall continued reforms like making a parliament and etc. So let's take an example before this First Carlist war. What are some conservationist and what are some liberal monarchies? An example of the liberal monarchy is Serbia. They have a parliament and they have a monarch. So they come in the category of liberal. But if I go to Russia, then that's conservationist. So the conservationists have aligned themselves against these liberal people, and liberals also now united together to dethrone the conservationists, to dethrone the old guard. Now, right now, this is just a start. This Carlist war is just a start of liberals starting to fight conservation. This is just the start. Before, also, we've seen many things in the past. In like this, all starts in the 19th century. This is the first major thing that happens in this conflict of conservationists versus liberals. We'll see future things like the year revolutions and etc. That will open us and will increase the gap between the conservationists and the liberals. So let's go to the point, the first Carlist war. Let's paint the image right now. So King Ferdinand VII dies. He dies, and rightfully the heir should be Isabella, her daughter. But she's only 3 years old. So what happens that Isabella's mother, Maria Cristina, is appointed as regent. But what is there's Ferdinand's brother known as Carlos, also known as Don Carlos. He's against Isabella coming to the throne. And he has one thing to defend himself with, the Salic Law. The Salic Law, which enforces that no woman will be the monarch of Spain. And this breaks out a whole conflict. How? There are two types of people. Like I told you, there are conservationists, consisting of priests, Carlos, and mainly people, empires like France, British, Russia, which are conservationists. Then you have liberals that are supporting that Isabella comes to the throne. And why are they supporting that? Because they think women should also deserve rights. Hence, this is the first step taken for human rights. And they know that Isabella will do reforms because she fights for the liberals. So now this big, distance starts being made between these two. The conservationists want Carlos as the monarch, whereas the liberals want rights and say that Isabella should be the monarch. Now this ignites into a whole war, and this is all because of this normal and just different ideological thinkings. So the outbreak of war happens in the October 30, 1833, right? Because you have to realize one thing. Before 1833 of October, there were conflicts, but there was not a whole announcement of war. There was nothing like that. Now, key battles start to happen in this war, okay? First off, the Battle of Artaza. Now, Battle of Artaza is a huge victory for the Carlists. And this is a good start for the Carlists, whereas for the liberals, this is a terrible start. But what happens then? The famous leader of the Carlists die. And then in 1835, the second battle happened, which is kind of one of the largest battles of this Carlist war, the Battle of Mendigoria, in which the liberals under General Luis Fernandez de Cordova achieve a very big victory against Carlists. And this is a huge thing because it lowers Carlist's military position. Then a huge siege is done by the Carlist, led by General Miguel Gomez Damas. And they try to take the city of Bilbao. Now they ultimately fail in one battle. The Battle of Luchana ends the whole siege, and the Carlists get another huge defeat. And last, but it's not all lost, because at the Battle of Oriamendi, the Carlists win a victory again. They win a victory, and that's mainly because of one thing. Well, after 1836, the international powers, the world powers, which are France, Russia, and Britain, supporting conservationists, as I told you, supporting conservationists, joined the war. And in the Battle of Oriamendi, they're able to defend huge amounts of land from the liberals. And this is a Carlist victory. Now, this whole is happening. Spanish people are dying every day. And what happens then? Well, they come to a conclusion. At the convention of Vergara, they come to a whole peace on how this will happen and that Isabella will become the next monarch. Well, it's not that. It's kind of a little bit of a different story as well. The convention happens, a peace settlement happens, but Carlos boycotts this, refuses to recognize this convention and goes to exile, making Isabella the new what do you say? The new monarch of Spain. Now this is taken with a pinch of salt in this way that this is considered a neutral thing between the Carlist and the liberals, as neither achieved total victory. But I kind of put this in the category of liberals because Isabella got the throne. A constitutional monarchy has arrived. Humans are getting their rights now. Hence, this is, I would say, a liberal victory. And in the future Carlist war, this will also be a victory. Now, let's see the ramifications of this war on history. Well, number one, of course, this caused more Carlist war, a lot of Carlist war. Next war of Carlist will happen in 1836 to 1840, etc. These Carlist wars will keep happening until, like, I think in 1935 when General Franco will take over. But for that, so many Carlist wars are gonna happen. But mainly, the main ramification happening in Europe of this is the European liberals, because liberals are not just in Spain, or they're in France. They want to remove the French They want to remove the French monarchy. They are in Turkey. They want to remove the authority of the Sultan. They are in Russia. They want to remove the authority of the Tsar. Hence, there are liberals all over Europe, and they see this conflict and they get encouraged that they should step up for their rights. They should do revolts. And this will, in turn into a very huge conflict, a huge year, a significant year, whereas the year of revolutions, which we may or may not discuss because there's another war we're gonna have to discuss later in the next video. We're gonna discuss the war happening not in Europe specifically, in South America. I think you guys know which we're talking about, but that, no spoilers on that. We're gonna upload that day after tomorrow. So I hope you understood the causes of this first Carlist war, the differences between the conservationists and liberals, the events of this Carlist war, and how The Convention of Vergara was first refused by by King Carlos, and then he went to exile Isabella got the throne. And the huge ramifications of this on Europe and in Spain. I hope you understood this, as this is the second episode for wars after the 1830s. And trust me, every war after 1830 will have some political ideological theory. Like this one had conservationist versus liberals. Maybe the future ones like 1870s, etc., will have different theories and different ideological lenses. Well, for that we have to wait. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye.